let's move on to the next topic here. Venom, which we're going to talk a little bit about today in some degree. We're going to talk about box office and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I did my review, my spoiler review, and I clearly like the movie more than a lot of other critics do. Not all the critics hate it. About 1 out of every 3 critics like it. About 2 out of every 3 didn't like it. Fine, whatever. I enjoyed the movie. But one of the things that I mentioned in my reviews was that in both the screenings I went to, and everybody's screening will be different, but in both of the screenings that I went to, the audience at the end of the film broke out into some very enthusiastic applause at the end of each screening that I was at. And I mentioned that, and I've gotten a lot of you guys telling me you had the same experience. A lot of you guys saying you like the movie. Not a lot of people saying they love the movie, but a lot of people saying they actually enjoyed it, even though it had some pretty big flaws. Well, here's the interesting thing. The Cinemascore just came out for Venom. For those of you who don't know what Cinemascore is the only true audience rating system out there. Like IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes audience ratings, none of them are worth anything because anybody can click on anything and nobody can guarantee they've seen the movies, and there's way too many ways for it to be manipulated. Cinemascore actually has people at the movie theaters surveying audience members as they're coming out of the movies. It is the only true legitimate audience score out there. And anyway, the Cinemascore for Venom just came out, and Cinemascore has announced that it got a B+. Now listen, it's important to keep something in mind here. By Cinemascore standards, B+ isn't the greatest score in the world. It's not bad, but it's not the greatest score in the world. B+ by Cinemascore standards is pretty average. Maybe just slightly above average. There are certain great movies that have gotten B+. There are certain bad movies that have gotten B+. But generally speaking, a B+ on Cinemascore is okay. It's not bad. But it's interesting to highlight here that even with an okay, not bad score on Cinemascore is a radically different thing and different score than we're seeing coming out of, say, critics for Venom. Now, I think there's one big key thing here for the discrepancy between the audience's reaction or the majority of the audience's reaction to the movie and a lot of the critics' reaction. But remember, like I said, 1 out of every 3 critics, I'm one of them, seems to like Venom. But the thing is this. Even most people who saw Venom and liked it, like me, acknowledge it has some big problems. It is not a great movie. I mean, maybe you thought it was, and that's fine, but a lot of us who liked it didn't think it was a great movie. It has some big issues. It doesn't stand up to films like, you know, even just this year. It doesn't stand up to a Black Panther, and it doesn't stand up to an Avengers Infinity War and all that kind of stuff. But I think the general audience, and I think most of us would agree with this, are a little bit more forgiving of certain what's the word I'm looking for? Of certain shortcomings in movies than maybe critics are. And really, when you look at it, when you read through the critic reviews and you read through the audience reviews, we're really not all that far apart. It's just that, you know, we saw what we saw and we tended to like it. A lot of critics saw what they saw. They tended not to like it. But even the critics who didn't like it thought there were some pretty positive things in it. Even the audiences who do like Venom thought there were some pretty poor things in it. But I just thought it was interesting that a B+ Cinemascore, while not great, is still certainly different from like the 31 or 32% critic rating that it seems to be getting on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Every once in a while, we're going to get one of these films, right? But again, it's not so massively divisive. It's not like everybody out there is saying, including me, it's not like we're out here going, Venom is the best movie ever. And then there's a bunch of other people going, Venom is the worst movie ever. Nah, it's not like that. You got a bunch of people saying, had some things going for it, but it doesn't work. And then you have another bunch of people going, there's a bunch of things that are pretty bad in it, but overall we liked it. So we're really not all that far apart when it's all said and done. All right, with that stuff out of the way, let's move on to our main topics today. How